And today I want to talk to you about creative solutions when you invest in real estate. Let's remember that since we're in real estate, we have access to all the tools and all the benefits we can get on the top of just helping buyers and sellers with their transactions. And I'm talking about investing in real estate. Let me briefly explain why I believe I have authority to coach you on real estate investments. I bought my first property back in 2009. And when everyone was crying about the housing bubble, about the depression, about the collapse of real estate market, I made a whole ton of money buying real estate investments. My first house I bought in 2009, I paid $18,000. And from that point on, I've been buying and buying houses until the market went back up and I realized the price is already gone. So I wanted to talk to you how you can start investing in real estate, having the tools that you have available right now in front of you with investing very small amount of money, or in some cases, no money at all. When I started, I didn't have any money. I was pretty broke. I was working as I owned a construction company back then. And I realized if everyone's selling houses, I should be on the receiving side. So here is the ways of you to get properties with little money or no money at all. I don't know if you can see my board. I'll read it for you. So first way is apply for hard money. There is plenty of hard money lenders out there who will lend you cash if you find the right deal. What you need to prove to hard money lender, first, your credibility. You want to show them that you have made transactions, that you have good credit, and you have something to support it. Second, you need to find the right deal. So that's the most important part. A lot of hard money lenders will lend money even to a person with a bad credit if they can see the opportunity. If you find a house that's worth $300,000 and you buy it for $150,000, literally any hard money lender will work with your transaction. Well, obviously it's more expensive way of getting money from hard money lender. Most likely you will be paying between 10 and 15% interest. But think about it this way. This is such a short period of time that you borrow in this cash, and you can borrow cash for rehab and for the purchase. It can be 100% financed if you find the right deal. And further down the presentation, I will show you how to find good deals. So second way is seller financing. Seller financing was extremely popular in late 2000s, 2010s, when sellers wanted to get out of this aggressive fundings, aggressive loans, aggressive mortgages that they had back then. And they were super happy about giving the mortgage away without even receiving anything. You pay closing costs and you take the mortgage over, you fix it up and refinance. So that's still become very powerful tool of you acquiring properties, especially if you find properties purchased between 2020 and 2022 when the interest rates were low, and you go after FHA loans that are assumable. That can be another way you can get these properties at a very low cost. You assume the mortgage, you give a little bit of money to the seller, and you get the property without necessarily 20, 25% down. So seller financing is the second way of you getting creative financing for the property that you buy. And wait until I explain how to get them. Subject to another form of you taking over the property. If you've never researched what subject to is, most of the loans, they have due on sale clause. And that means that seller cannot sell the house without paying off the mortgage. So what you can do instead, you can take over the mortgage and transfer the deed into the trust and make yourself beneficiary. So the loan gonna stay the same on the property, and you changing the ownership, not to your name, but to the trust name. It's probably as good as having the property in LLC or in your own name, because you still have all the rights. You can sell it, you can rent it, you can do whatever you want with it.
Can I ask a question, or we do ask questions later?
Let's push questions to the end, okay? Just note it and I'll ask all the questions. All right, so savings. We want to have 30, 30, 30, 10 split on all our paychecks. And 30 goes into marketing account, 30 goes into your personal account, 30 goes to Uncle Sam's account, and 10% always go into your savings account. If we do it mandatory, so we want to come to the bank and say, this is how I want payments to be split without my actions, that's the easiest way to start generating savings, as well as get rid of the headache in the middle of April when Uncle Sam knocks on our door and asks for a little bit of money. Now, if you make even 300,000, imagine that's already 30 grand a year that you will be saving. And if you buy an investment property with even 20% down, you can buy something for $150,000. For many markets, you might say, well, it's not enough. And I would argue that we want to buy where the deals are. I don't own any properties in Miami because it doesn't make any sense financially to own real estate here because the demand is so high. So I invest in Pennsylvania where I can buy a nice house for 150 to 100,000 and rent it out for $2,000 a month. So I don't care that it's 1,300 miles from me, but if it makes sense financially, I will go where the money are. And the last one, where to get the money, is tap into your equity. If you bought your house prior to 2020, you're most likely sitting on at least $100,000 in cash, minimum. Prices went so high during the pandemic that you're sitting on this equity. Check out with local credit unions or local banks to see how much of the equity can they give you in the form of a line of credit. This is the cheapest money you can get compared to hard money, where you will be paying probably 15% if it's your first deal. Coming to the bank and asking for a home equity loan, you will be paying around 6-7%, which is twice better. So this is another way of you tapping into very inexpensive money, buying an investment property, and what we call BRRR, buy, rehab, refinance, and rent. If you follow these steps, you can even make profits from refinancing. This is one of the creative solutions on how you can get paid without being charged by IRS. Because I don't want to give you financial advices, but you don't have to pay taxes on the loan. So you only pay capital gain when you sell the property. But while you own it, you can refinance as often as you want, get the money out, get yourself a nice car, get yourself a trip, and don't pay any taxes because it's a loan, it's not a sale. The whole key to this, never sell it. You buy the property and you hold it for the rest of your life. And it's either going to be destroyed by some kind of natural disaster and you get paid the insurance money, or you own it and it's going to be inherited by your kids. So I don't really like the idea of flipping. I've been doing flipping until 2016. And then I realized I'm paying so much in taxes when I flip houses. Why I would give that much money away if I can keep them and own them, and the property will bring me cash flow every month, as well as I can always go back to the bank and refinance it at any time that I need money to buy more real estate. So houses will pay for buying more and more and more. It's like never stopping growing equity. All right, well, you might want to ask, it so sounds good, Roman, but where do we get the deals? Because deals is the key to invest in real estate. Without deals, no one's going to borrow you money. Even if you have 150,000 in your equity, well, what's the good point of buying a house and not having any equity. It's not necessarily beneficial. So we need to find good deals. So one of my favorite lead sources for creating good deals, creating good transactions first is Sharif Sale. I'll tell you a story. Back in 2011, all I got is $2,000 on my checking account, and I had no more money, and I decided to go bid on the Sharif Sale. So you have to grab a check, cashier's check. They don't accept cash. They don't accept personal checks, just certified check from the bank. I went to the court, to the Sharif Sale, and it was a house. I never seen it. I didn't know what the house is. I just thought, well, I have $2,000. I want to play and try to win. Well, luckily it was 2011. Not that many bidders were back then. So I bid $2,000 and I bought the house. Well, when I came back, my wife was pretty angry at me because it was the less money we got. And we didn't even know what we're getting into, because I bought a house on Sharif Sale with quit claim deed. That means no warranties. I could have another $150,000 mortgage on it. So I was pretty nervous for a couple months, waiting. I was waiting for the bill or some kind of trouble. Nothing was really going on. I did the title search. Everything went clear. Then in a couple months, we realized, well, it was pretty good transaction. So I bought a house for $2,000, and now I turn it into duplex, and each side bring me $2,000. So collectively, I make $4,000 on the house that I bought for $2,000. That's pretty good investment. So Sharif Sale is one of my favorite, I would say, ways of getting good deals. It is risky. I could have got in trouble with back taxes, with loans. Luckily, it didn't happen, but a lot of people get in trouble with it. So it's a little bit of gamble. And second is setting bandit size. Let me explain what bandit size are. It's like basic square signs where you write, we buy houses cash, and your phone number. The uglier it looks, the better. Because this is who we're targeting. We're targeting people who are in real need to sell fast. They cannot afford to hire a realtor. They're in trouble. They have the urge to sell right now. They could have gone to online places, but they call on your bandit sign, which costs you $2 a piece. The only challenge with bandit signs is people tend to take them down. So you might want to be creative on how you set up bandit signs, but you set them and forget about it. It is up there until someone calls you, and it's very cheap. You buy 100 signs for $200. Imagine 100 signs, 100 impressions for a pretty long period of time. That is the cheapest way of you getting deals. So bandit signs, Facebook groups, another absolutely free tool that you can use. If you have equity and if you're serious about doing it yourself, you can make posts in as many groups as possible, explaining, well, I'm looking for houses in any condition, in any location. Send me a DM and wait for people to respond. It doesn't have to be necessarily in Facebook groups. It can be like secondhand market or yard sale groups. Pretty much post it everywhere you can, and if you do it consistently, you will get leads. And these leads could be turned into listings, right? Or they can be turned into profit from purchasing the house. As well as you can wholesale it. I'll talk about it a little later, but this is how we generating these good deals. Facebook leads will come up to you, and it will be legit, either listing, or it can be better be a purchase. Estate sales and divorce sales. Well, we can tap into that category. The best way, in my opinion, to get leads from estates and divorces is connecting with lawyers, with title companies, and connect with them and build a relationship with them. Imagine if you call attorney office and say, "Hi, I'm Roman Ivanov. I work with such and such company. I want to build a relationship with you." You will be directed to one of the paralegal, and you're never going to hear back from them. So now we need to build relationship with them. So lawyers will get you these tremendous deals for you either to lease or to buy, which is actually a lot better, because if you lease, you spend the money, they're gone. When you buy, it will follow you for the rest of your life. So how to build a relationship? We need to find a friend of a friend of a friend of attorney. So you need to go through your SOI and ask, do you know any attorneys personally? How about we get together? I'll buy you beer, for example. That works really well with me. And build a relationship this way. Get together, buy them lunch, buy them dinner, and start nurturing them to the point that you become friends. Lawyers are your best friends. Direct mail campaigns also works pretty well. It's not cheap, but it works. Because if you send a letter to someone who's desperate to sell, and they open it and they read it, they have absolutely no other way for them to sell rather than that you put it right in front of their nose. So I don't recommend you to send bulk mails to everyone. So it's very expensive. So what I use is an app that's called PropStream that was advertised at Tom Ferry Summit this year. Really good platform to get estates, to get people with getting divorced, estates, divorces. You can search for pretty much any category. They have high equity, if they have low equity, when they bought a house, etc. So we want to strategically target people who would be responding to our mailing campaign. You can also search for people who are going into foreclosure, who were served with foreclosure notice. So if you send in direct mails, better be done through PropStream, so you're sending the right message to the right person, because sending messages via mail is pretty expensive. Now I mentioned wholesalers, and I want to touch base with you on what wholesaling is. If you don't know, this is how a lot of investors making money. So what they do, they use all these lead streams to find properties. They get the property under contract for as long period of time as they can with the smallest hand money, with the smallest earnest money deposit. And what they do, they try to assign it to another investor for a fee. So let's say I know a property that's worth 80,000, I get it at 50,000, I try to sell it for 60, assign the contract at 60, which is still a good deal for investor, and I'm making $10,000. If you just list it, you're good if you're making 2 or 3,000 on such a small deal. So this is what wholesalers do. Well, on the other hand, wholesalers, if you don't want to get into that yourself, wholesalers is excellent way of you either getting listings or better buying investment properties for yourself. Even if they're making a little bit of money on the top of the already good deal, that's okay, as long as it makes sense financially. I would go all in and buy something that makes sense and will bring me profit. So the last way, it's pretty obvious, MLS. MLS, that's right in front of your nose. I've bought so many properties right off MLS. People list properties with high intention, they have a realtor, and all you need to do is just find these good deals. You need to analyze deals that are sitting on the market for quite some time, and in some cases, try to lowball the seller. If it's been on the market for 200 plus days, there is a good chance that the seller is motivated to take a lowball offer. The more offers you write, the higher chances of you getting a good deal. All right, well, these are the ways of you finding investment properties, finding listings, turning these deals into cash one way or another. But lastly, I wanted to talk to you about how to securely own the properties, because if you're going to buy real estate under your name, first thing that's going to happen is your credit will go down because you're going to put more and more debt on your credit. So at some point, you'll come to Best Buy to buy yourself a new iPhone, and they're going to say, sorry, you have too much debt. You no longer qualify even for a new iPhone. So there is a couple ways to avoid it. First, if you want to have tax benefits, you can create an LLC and own the property in the name of LLC. You can always refinance and do anything you want with the LLC as long as you put in your own credit back in the loan. But the good news is that the loan will be registered under the name of LLC. So LLC will own the property and it not going to affect your credit. Also with LLCs, you're going to have tax benefits, write-offs, because if you own the property, you're going to have expenses, rehab expenses, maintenance expenses, etc. So check with your accountant. You will certainly get some benefits owning it under LLC. Second way is putting it into a trust. So as we discussed earlier, the subject to financing, it absolutely has to go to trust. Or if you own your own property and you're concerned about the estate planning, well, we all die at some point, and what's going to happen after we die? Your kids, your beneficiaries, your heirs will pay inheritance tax, which is huge. Why would we give away such a huge chunk of cash to Uncle Sam so they can spend it the way they want it? I want to spend it the way I want it. This is my money, so I put it in trust, my personal properties. So if I die, I'm going to have my family being beneficiary, and this way they will avoid paying real estate taxes. So this is the way of building passive income. I don't want to encourage you to jump into investing, quitting sales, and going into this. But on this presentation, I wanted to open your mind to that passive income that you have availability for. It's a long-term game. You're not going to get rich tomorrow. But if you do it consistently for 10 years, and if, let's say, you buy 40 properties in 10 years, that will ensure your safe and secure retirement. And after you buy in at least 20, you can safely say, I can live off the passive income that I have. Even if you have $200 a month passive cash flow from each property, that's already $4,000. Well, no, you're not going to live in luxury life, but it will help you survive on the rainy day. Well, that's all for my presentation. Now I'm open to your questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Roman. It was really great presentation. We have learned a lot, personally me. I have a lot of questions. The first one, when you mentioned about hard money lender, you basically buy property which needs work, because if you buy like turnkey investment, it's not as beneficial having 10-15% interest rate. Do you need to kind of turn around and refinance, or what's the benefits of the hard loan money in that case?
There is no benefit of hard money loan in that case. If you buy in turnkey, you just have to buy it low enough. But it is very difficult to find a turnkey that will bring you all the benefits of investing, because you need to find really motivated seller who would give away such a huge amount of equity, and not that many people are stupid enough to just give away 100K. When the house has a leaky roof, when the house has aggressive predatory mortgage, that's something that motivates seller. When people get in divorce, they want to sell their house. They can sell, and if they have equity, they put it with the realtor and they sell it. But it is possible, especially with foreclosures. With foreclosures, you can, I probably should have put foreclosures. I forgot about this great lead source, foreclosures, obviously. But if you buy foreclosure, yes, you can get it at a low enough price. Typically, banks go by amount of the loan they have it. Sometimes they have inaccurate appraisals, and you can take benefits of that. But again, it's very rare. Most common is buy, rehab, rent, refinance.
Okay, and when you said subject to, due seller clause, like paid off mortgage, basically you can, somebody has a mortgage at 5% or 6%, but they're struggling, they have a hard time. I can buy the mortgage, right? Like
Well,
that's
you're not buying mortgage.
not mortgage, but I can transfer the mortgage under my name
You
and
can
pay.
transfer the mortgage under your name unless it is FHA or VA loan, and you're not qualified, I assume, for VA since you're not a military person. So the only
Right.
option for you to transfer in your name is FHA loan, with subject to you transferring it to trust that will be still in the name of the seller. So you're not changing ownership to your name. You're changing it to
If you
trust.
have a mortgage, then it's basically, it's not really under his name. It's more like a bank owned still.
It is bank owned. Yes, you still, if you stop making payments, bank will take that property from you. So you
Yeah.
need to be current on your payments. However, at some point you will pay it off, and you can do whatever you want with the trust because you will be managing the trust.
You saying it has to go to the trust, it will not go to your name.
Right,
Why?
right. Why? Because
Mhm.
due on sale clause.
Due to the sale clause, this is
Due on sale clause, that's written into every single mortgage, conventional, any other mortgage, balloon mortgage, I mean, jumbo mortgage, any mortgage. If you read any standard mortgage, it has due on sale clause. If as soon as the sale happens, you have to pay it off.
Mm-hmm. But is it sale happening or it's just a transferring? Like
It's just
More.
transferring into a trust, and you better create the name of the trust as the name of
For the property.
initial owner.
Oh,
So
the
bank not gonna know that the house is sold. You're just taking it over.
Okay.
On
Okay.
that, I have a question. I don't know if you can hear me. On that, I have a question. So what you're saying, Roman, I'm a Canadian and mortgages in Canada are assumable. You can assume someone else's mortgage if you qualify and take it over at their rate. Or you can port a mortgage to another properties. If you have still a term on the mortgage, you can take your rate to another property. So in the US, there's no such thing, right? You have to get a new mortgage when you buy. Is that
That's
what
what
I'm?
I heard before, but I heard what you just said in Europe as well, which is never really brought it up here in US, which if you have like high interest rate, if you qualify, if you just buy somebody else's property with their current mortgage, I think it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, but not all the mortgages qualify. So conventional mortgage will not qualify if they have it. VA and FHA potentially will qualify, but you have to keep in mind. So let's say if they have 200K left to pay off at their
Mhm.
mortgage and the property is now worth 400K, you have to come up with the difference because you cannot assume more than what they currently have as a balance on their mortgage.
Right.
And they
In
could.
this case, most likely seller wants to get a little bit of benefit for the difference. But
And potentially.
conventional mortgages, they are not qualified. I mean, 100% of conventional and some FHA, they have due on sale clause. That means that you have to pay off the mortgage when you sell the property.
Okay.
But the whole idea behind it is that you're not getting your own mortgage. If you're not getting your own mortgage, you're literally paying nothing. All you're paying is to transfer the deed, which is a couple $100, and open a trust. It's another probably like $300. So you're buying a house for $500. If you can find a motivated seller who would do that, it will go to the trust and it releases all the burden for the seller to keep up the maintenance, to make payments, etc. The only thing you have to make be current on payments, because if you fail to be current on payments, it will backfire on the seller, because their name's still on the mortgage. The mortgage never goes away from his name. That's the whole trick.
So then how do you really know?
They still financially liable for it. But you explain the seller, well, I'm gonna fix it up. I'm gonna take over the mortgage and I'm gonna put another 100K to make that house livable. I don't want to invest 100,000 into your house and then foreclose on it. And most sellers, they agree with that strategy if they have no other choice.
Basically, you fix it up and you're gonna sell it.
No, I'm never gonna sell it.
No.
I'm against selling real estate myself. I never sell. I only buy.
But how would you put it on completely under your name after you paid off the mortgage?
Well, yeah, I can pay off the mortgage and it's gonna stay in the name of the trust that I control.
Oh, so you control the trust. That's how you have, that's how you have ownership. You don't have title ownership, you have trust control.
Correct.
Okay.
So it can be Jack Smith Trust, but I control Jack Smith's trust.
Then you can write off certain things for your taxes. Do you have a benefits of this as well, like other real estate?
Well, with trust, you have less benefits with compared to LLC. But if I can buy a house for $500, I go for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, Roman, I have a question. So you mentioned sheriff sale and that we need to bring like a check. So how do you know how much to bring?
Good question. You bring the whole bunch of checks, you break them down, and you're like, well, probably that property is worth 30 grand. But I will bring you a check for 30 and then 10 checks for 1,000. And I'm gonna go in this small bids up higher until I maxed out. I'm gonna think, all right, I'll buy this property between 30 and 40,000, for example. I'm gonna bring 30 grand check and then 10 checks for 1,000, and I'm gonna go 1,000 up or 5,000. In these cases, I probably go 5,000.
Roman, is that a realistic price for a house that you can get at a sheriff's sale? Because that sounds crazy to me.
Well, it depends on where you want to buy. Now I'm working on a deal in Ohio, buying a house for 25 grand.
Okay, so you don't focus on South Florida, because I'm like, in South Florida, you're
No.
getting a trailer for 150,000.
No, I don't understand why investors focus on South Florida. The demand is through the roof, and sale price compared to rent price is insignificant.
Gotcha.
Like I literally paying all the fees with my condominium and taxes. I mean, it's not that much higher than I would just rent a place. But here's the deal. I go to where the money are. I don't have to buy around my house. I don't go to the properties. I don't fix toilets, and I don't go to court to evict my tenants. I mean, I try not to put tenants to begin with bad history, but it happens. But I hire other companies who do it for me because it's very time consuming. Most importantly, it's very emotional going through this process. I would rather pay someone to take care of it, and rather than have it somewhere around me where I can do it myself. It just makes more sense financially.
So you're physically going to different locations, correct? I mean,
Right.
because it's everything in person.
Right. Yeah, I
And where are
personally
you-
invest in Pennsylvania and Ohio.
And where are you looking this information? I mean, about sheriff sale, just on where?
Well, you can go to sheriff sale office. They post prior to the sheriff sale the property addresses, and you can look it up. The only trick, like I mentioned in the presentation with sheriff sales, is that you don't know what you buy. You're not getting special warranty deed. You're getting quit claim deed, and I hope you understand the difference, right? It's just sheriff releases their rights to the property. Whatever problem this house might bring, it's your problem, and you can get in serious troubles because there is definitely a reason, especially these days. It's not 2010 anymore, why people give up on making their payments. It can be good way of someone just deceased without heirs, and no one's going to pay for it. There's no one who's going to take it over and it's paid off, and you buy it for very cheap. But you can always get in trouble with it. This is why it's important for you to do your due diligence prior to bidding. This is why it's hassle, and I do it and don't do it constantly. I do it like as my hobby, if you will, because you have to pay a couple $100 for the tax, for the title search, and you don't always know if you're going to win or if the property will be postponed, because that's very common. You go to court. And property is postponed. It might take a couple of years until you get to the point that they're actually going to start selling it. Someone might contest the sale. maybe like a kid will show up and contest the sale, and you spend this $200 every time you go. But if you look at again at the big picture, at the end of the day, it's worth it. Yes, you might spend like $4,000 running 20 title searches, and you buy one property extremely cheap. You can turn around and sell it. But you heard me. I'm a big. I'm highly against selling anything, because as soon as you sell, you get hit with the highest income tax possible. So instead of selling, you might want to consider keeping it. And you can't go in on the sheriff sale property, so you only can view it from the outside.
And you mentioned bandit signs, so we're gonna place them.
Well,
If you live in condo and townhome, where are you gonna place them?
well, yeah, that's another good one, because here's the deal. If you put them on as a loan sign, they will be stolen right away. Technically, you cannot put them on poles, on street poles, because street poles belong to electric company, and they're considered to be trespassing. And you have your number on it, so it's very easy to track you. So you need to be creative. Yeah, you need to find spots. I mean, that's what takes the most time out of that strategy. Find spots where you can place the sign without violating any laws. So I would say get 200. I always keep one in the trunk when I see a good spot for it, and hammer and couple nails. Go up on the ladder. Probably what we want to keep a small little giant in your trunk, because you want to keep it as high as possible. So someone needs to have a ladder to take it down as well. But yeah, don't hang on the poles outside, and the lawn signs, again, that's considered to be trespassing. You want to be careful for it, but I bet you can find good spots if you drive around strategically.
I'm looking at Ohio. There's like a lot of cheap houses in Ohio. Is that why you chose it? What's happening there that's interesting about the market? And do you have, are you kind of like, what are your tenants there like?
Well, pretty decent tenants, working class, people who can afford $1,500 to $2,000 house. Compared to Florida, that's pretty good price.
Sorry.
You buy single families then. You don't buy multifamily, you don't buy 4 units, 6 units buildings?
No, I don't. It is a good strategy buying multifamilies, to be honest, but I like the liquidity of the single family houses. It's a little easier to finance single family compared to multifamily, and I like the liquidity. If for some reason I need to sell it, I can sell it in a month, 2 months.
Now,
Typically I can sell it at retail value. If I'm gonna fire sale 4-plex, 6-plex, 8-plex, most likely gonna lose money.
now for the homes, I'm seeing there's like lots of auctions happening in Ohio. They list everything for like $1, and then there's an auction happening. Do you go through that route as well? Or do you just buy kind of more direct?
More direct. I would rather deal with sellers directly, to be honest, or either through referrals, through Facebook, through bandit signs. I mean, sheriff sales is a little different. I just don't like the aggravation of this online auctions. I know people make money on it. I think I bought once, but it was such an aggravation with them.
Okay. And then do you also, with those properties like in Ohio that you're buying for 40,000, are you also rehabbing them and then putting the quality tenants in?
Yeah, I rehabbing them. Most of my properties in Pittsburgh. I just started investing in Ohio because prices in Pittsburgh went pretty high, and it's getting more difficult to find decent investments. This is why I switched my focus on Ohio, because in Ohio, yeah, well, I wouldn't say they making a couple $100,000 and have 800 credit score, but even still, housing is necessity, and people will pay their rent first before they pay everything else. So I need to pick and choose who I'm going to rent it to, so I'm not going to get in trouble with evictions and stolen furnaces. That happened to me, but I can see through the people to find if they decent person with bad credit or they really. I have this story to share with you. When I started, I got a tenant who came to me right out of the jail. Right out of the jail, he said, "I got out of the jail. I have 2 kids. I have destroyed credit." I said, "What did you get in jail for?" He said, "I was selling drugs." Well, I was happy that it's not like violent charge. So I gave him a shot, and he stayed there for 2 years. For 2 years, no problems, paid me on time, never called me for any repairs. Then he moved out. I believe he actually, no, I don't remember what happened to him. But the funny story is, the next tenant was the correction officer, and I believe it was the same jail. Can you imagine? I got correction officer from the same jail of the previous tenant. So that guy moved in, called me literally every month. He wanted to fix something in the house, and the house was rehab. And at the end of the day, he breached the lease. He moved out. He left me mess. He was late on rent for a couple months, and he got 800 credit score, and he got decent job, never charged, no evictions. So I don't necessarily trust the background check. I always do it. However, I want to see the personality. I want to talk to them. In this case, I talk to them on Zoom, and I pick and choose just with my gut feelings. And so far, my gut feelings works better than the background check so far.
So you managing your tenants by yourself, correct?
No,
Does
I
not
don't.
matter where.
No, I have a property management company,
How
but I
much you pay
interview them
the
before I
property
put them in.
manager? What is the percentage? Is like 5, 6, 8% of the,
10%.
so again,
10%.
10%. And it is still, because like when I was thinking, if I do my investment, I will do my own management. That kind of like saves me money. You saying like with the rent of $1,500 plus you 8% per year, you're paying that, like there's still money left for you.
Of course. I
Because
always
you have, like,
the minimum
20,000.
cash flow that I expect is $200. That's like bare minimum. I typically make more, and especially when you're thinking about long-term investments with rentals. Rental rates went so up high after the interest rates went up. You realize that a lot of people decided not to buy and go into rent. The demand for rentals increased. Rents went up, and whatever I was renting for $1,000 5 years ago now bring me $2,000.
So what is the steps when you buying like an investment property? You making research, you finding property, you buying property. I'm trying to figure out what moment you finding a management company who will manage your renters and how you finding renter.
Well, finding
How you find a
renters
management company too, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I have one management company who's taking care of all my management. So it was
Oh,
pretty.
so okay.
It's not easy to find it. You have to kind of. I'm remembering from Tom Ferry Summit that slide. The more you fuck around, remember, Lana, the more you get. Well, those who didn't attend probably didn't get that joke, but basically, the more you do, the faster you get the results. The more mistakes you make, the faster you get to win. Cool.
And they do all the work.
How to find a property management company? Make a whole bunch of mistakes until you find a good one.
Mhm.
So for example, you have few management companies that manage a property for you in different states, so they can manage us also as well.
Well, Ohio and Pittsburgh, it's so close. It's literally like 45-minute drive.
Okay.
And
It's a different license, right? Or they kind of work
yeah,
together.
they have to have license. Yes.
I'm just saying like the people who in Pennsylvania, they cannot manage Ohio because it's a different license.
Well, they carry license in both states. There's and actually 3 states in West Virginia as well, but I don't like West Virginia myself.
Okay, and then you flying there for closings?
No, why would I fly?
You don't fly. Like you basically found your online deal, or you found like on a sheriff sale, which I'm not sure, like, is it in person you're saying sometimes, or?
When I go to Sharif sales, yes, you have to be in person.
Uh-huh.
I cannot do remote deals. In some cases, yes, I do fly over there. In some cases, I buy remotely, depends on the level of responsibility there. I
Mhm.
see it's decent house. I mean, the houses to me, they all the same. I mean, really, if structural engineer tells me there is no structural issues and I have my contractor look through it, I've been, like I said, I've been contractor for quite a long period of time. I know how houses put together. I know what to expect, what's the knob and tube wiring, what's lead pipes and etc. and how much it's going to cost. So, I mean, I don't have to fall in love with these properties. It's just my money-making tools.
So, and managing company finding renters for you, and then you approving, or you looking for the renter, and then you're giving to manage to the management company.
Right, well, all they do, they post it on Zillow and all other websites, so it's not rocket science.
Mhm.
All they do, they just open your doors for me.
Do you have any concerns with areas? Like, my fear was always investing in a city or a place that I'm not familiar with, is investing in like a really bad neighborhood that people don't want to rent in, because yeah, the price is good on the house, but then your appreciation is like more stagnant in a bad neighborhood, or you're only getting like really bad
tenants.
tenants. Yeah, so do you have like an agent on the ground that helps you, or do you navigate all of that on your own?
Well, the thing is, I've been living in Pennsylvania for over 10 years. I'm pretty aware of that market. I would not buy something in the market I don't know. I get these deals left and right, and I don't pursue them because I'm scared, to be honest, investing in an area that I don't know. I know that the eastern part of Ohio, I know Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania pretty well, so I can be certain that I'm getting a good deal. Relying on the realtor, probably not the best idea, because realtor wants to get their commission, let's be honest, and they will sell you whatever it is, whatever they can sell it to you, and they don't necessarily want to look deep into all the criteria of the neighborhood.
So that is the challenge for someone looking to invest in areas that are cheap, like cheaper, obviously. But if you don't know, it's really hard to understand the dynamics of neighborhoods and where you're putting your money.
Right, well, if you want to explore the area, if you want to start off something new, yes, you need to do very extensive due diligence on the area that you're investing. Obviously, if I wouldn't know Pittsburgh so well, I wouldn't be buying anything remotely.
Mhm.
I know people who bought properties remotely and they got burned with all kinds of troubles buying properties in flood zones, etc., in bad neighborhoods. And
But what advice then you giving to us? Like, then don't buy remotely, basically, because
don't buy
like,
remotely unless you know the area, unless you know what you're buying.
but you never know until you live there. You know, like you have some idea, but until you get there.
I'm not the person you need to
You can
speak to
go
about that. I'm
and
no
do
longer
the
on
due
the board,
diligence
but I can
yourself.
give you
You can,
somebody's
if you
name.
want to buy, let's
and
say in
we'll
Ohio,
find
go
out.
there. If you want to start a new area to invest, you want to explore that area, see what's available for sale with the agent, and get to know that area before you make your first purchase, because it's very easy to go down with the bad investment. It can chase you, and I told you about all the good stories. I didn't tell you about the ugly, and that happened in my experience as well. So I want to focus on the positive thoughts and share positive experience, but I've made a lot of mistakes and lost money, and it happens. It's just part of the deal.
I think the
Yes,
next
you need to
presentation, we
do
need to have a
very good due
mistake of
diligence.
Roman.
Say it
Because
again.
I'm just saying, next presentation, we have to have a mistakes of yours. Because this is how we learn. Everything in theory sounds very nice, but when you dig in certain areas and, you know, certain situations, then mistakes, that's kind of what memorable and you learn. I'm looking at one area in Chicago. It's not as good area, but it's upcoming neighborhood. And it's kind of a gang related sometimes, you know, like there is people who invest a lot of money, but it's also like dangerous. Like when I went there first time, I was afraid to get out from the car, but I also not used to see trash on the streets and people running on one way or other way, all of the Section 8 buildings here, you know, but I'm like, this is really makes sense to invest, but I'm like, I'm so afraid to go there and I'm really stand out. And like I run my numbers, I'm like, I think it can be like because I see a couple years ago, the price was like a half of what they are. And now they're giving even more and more. Then I really want to, but I really don't want to go, like, I really need to have like someone who will do management and things like that. But there's a very small margin. Then if I hire the person for 8% and pay them all those first month's rents and things like that, then, you know, there is no really money. Money is more like in the long run as appreciation. Then I was planning to do some myself, but I'm not sure if I can deal with those people.
Okay, good point. Well, first, if you get the property in, let's say, let's be honest, in the ghetto, you're not gonna find a management company. No one wants to deal with it, not the 10%, not the 20%. I know you can find properties in, let's say, bad neighborhoods for extremely cheap everywhere. Even here in Miami, you can buy property extremely cheap, but you can't go there without a gun. I don't want to have such experience. I believe that you want to first look at the long run. Maybe it's not going to be A+ neighborhood, but you want to have something decent. I would say B- to B+, maybe C+ at the worst. Going into bad neighborhoods, of course, you can buy that ridiculously cheap, but you're not going to collect the rent. You're going to have tremendous vacancies. You're not going to find a tenant. Most likely, all the rehab will not be appreciated. So I don't see any profits there. So you need to focus on the neighborhoods that are safe, they have constant appreciation at a certain level that you feel that's profitable. And if you have to go there, you should get yourself a gun. I don't have one. I don't want to buy neighborhoods.
But I'm just saying, like, I think everywhere in
That's
Chicago
good,
you need to have a gun. It is no safe neighborhoods, even downtown, they kind of come and shoot. You know, that neighborhood I'm describing, it's actually not that cheap. It's not as a getter. It depends who you're talking to again, but it's a $400,000 for the 3 flats. That's kind of the price range. Some of them going 5-6 now, some of them going to 250. It's not a ghetto anymore. The ghetto goes a little further, then even there prices are going up. Like, that's why.
South side?
Huh?
South side?
Yeah, south side. This is west side. West side was as bad as south side, but south side right now, basically, like, certain areas are really good now. Like some south side, it's too late for me to invest. They're too expensive now. I have a
South
client,
side is
we're
going
building.
up, I know.
Yeah, Southside Obama Library. We're building a house for $1 million for my clients right now. I mean, this is the prices for Southside. Like, it just very high now. You know, this is a West Side, which is also, you know, like a gangsters kind of thing activity. But I don't know, like, I see a lot of Section 8 properties, which I was thinking for Section 8 tenant. Do you guys work with Section 8 tenants at all? I don't know.
I don't. Well,
You don't?
no, I don't. I'm here not to necessarily help you with locating your area. You're the expert. You're the local expert. I have very limited knowledge about Chicago or any other areas that you're in. My point is there is money to make in every market. Even if I would be interested in making money in Miami, probably there is something to get out of this market. However, what I was going to say is do your due diligence, learn about the area, and don't bet without certainty that you're going to win. Because always, I'd like to say is no deal always better than bad deal.
I was just gonna say, use the network that we have, right? The ecosystem. Like when I was at Elite Retreat, I, had dinner with a few agents. One of them happened to be from Ohio. And I mean, I did learn about the market quite a bit. And I did learn that you could potentially buy a house between 180 and 200,000 and rent it for like $2,000 or whatnot, So it definitely did seem a little bit better, like for entry, right? Like, and still get similar amount of rent that I would get here if I were to spend $300K, for example. But definitely, I think like speaking to the agents in the ecosystem and kind of like exchanging that knowledge could help learn a bit more and sort of, and
Yeah, you can always get in touch with agents who are specifically working with investors. I know Nathan, very heavy on investment. So that area, if you just poking around trying to find good area to invest, that could be pretty good investment. He shared with me, I don't know why he's not on the call, it's his topic, but he shared with me pretty good deals in central PA that bringing pretty decent income. He mentioned like triplex for under 200K. And I'm not big fan of investing in an area that I don't know, but deals are out there. You just need to search for them. Cool. All right. Well, I think I answered all the questions.
The
I'll
last
wrap this
question.
up. Hope you enjoyed my presentation. And
Thank you.
Roman, can I ask the last question?
go ahead.
So you mentioned also like MLS. So what is your favorite like way to find deals on MLS?
Well, we all starting. I hope we all starting our day with preparation, right? We pull in our scripts, we pull in our data, we check in what's just listed. So I search for deals on MLS daily. I look through the neighborhoods that I'm interested in, checking what was posted, and I just make it as my morning routine. Takes 5 minutes of my time. All right.
I think Lana meant for deals. So, like, do you ever filter through like highest days on market or anything like that in order to find some deals or homes that have been overlooked?
Typically, I hunt for just listed deals.
Okay,
Because if they've been on for such a long period of time on market, there is problem with sellers' motivation in most cases. I'm not going to say I mind making low ball offers, but again, that's a little longer path to get the deal. You need to write the whole bunch of offers for one to be accepted. I kind of go the lazy way, if you will. So I search for what's listed. If I feel like it's a good deal, I make a bid right away. Sometimes I make full asking price offer if it's slow enough.
cool. Thank you.
All right, well, good. I hope that's something that you learned today. You're gonna start implementing, at least thinking about it. And if you think about it, we will monetize our thoughts. Thank you so much for listening to me. Have a wonderful
Thank you.
Friday.
Thank you.